Great event, great experience.
It was a great event, great people. Thanks a lot.
The event was really great. It was wonderful to have all these different ideas come into our company, even the ones that weren't related to insurance. So good.
I thought A, you guys did a great job, and B, it was a really interesting concept that I think, for me, I'd like to do more of closer up, north of the city.
Fantastic event, great startups.
Wow, this was so amazing. Oh my God, I loved it. Did you love it?
I loved it.
It was amazing.
Excuse me. I don't know if you can all hear me, so if not, please come a little bit closer to the front so you can see our two wonderful screens here. Yeah, so I just want to briefly introduce what we're doing here and why we're doing that. So my name is Andreas Still. I work as an underwriter for Temple Insurance. I happen to be on the innovation team, but this is today not really about the innovation team. It's more, a couple of months ago, I went to this event called PitchIT here on Queen Street, run by Jeffrey and the OPN Network. And their idea is to give young startups a platform and an opportunity to actually practice pitching a little bit, get exposure, get feedback for their pitches, and maybe some ideas about their business idea. So it's not about judging, it's not about winning anything, it's really about training and getting them into a corporate environment, getting them exposed to people, because obviously Jeff can tell you a little bit more about the history, but obviously there is a lack of training opportunities for startups. So I went to this event, I really liked the vibe, I really liked the idea, yeah, I really liked it, so I thought, like, why don't we try to bring a little bit of this vibe into our company and maybe encourage some people here to do something similar like that in the future, to actually see and get in touch with the very, very active startup community here in Toronto. So finally, after, I don't know, 2 months of work, we are here today, and I'm really happy that Jeff and his team, that they're with us, and we have 4 wonderful startups today who will pitch. And I think now I'll just give it over to Jeff, because he runs the show, and I'll go back into the background.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Andreas. Thank you, everybody from Munich, for coming out today. This is pretty exciting. This is our first corporate event. We do lots of different exciting things across the GTA, Durham region, where we've kind of decided that we needed a way to kind of give back to startups, give them a platform to talk, get in there and talk about their business, and really get feedback from you guys. You're going to be, at one point in time, going to be the client, the user of these products. At some point, we hope you will be. And while you're going through that experience, we want to get your feedback so that that actually helps with the startups be able to become better at what they're doing. And we're better to get it from than the people that are going to be using that product, and it's a great little marketing segment. So as we started this about a year ago, we started doing some online panels talking about hot topics in the market. And those hot topics were things from women in sales, minimal viable product, getting high in Canada. That's one's always the best. I don't know why. I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to say that in corporate world, but there was a lot of great topics, and what we found from these is that there were high engagement because people wanted to learn. And then we started to segment out, and corporate businesses said, why don't you come out and film some of our live events and help moderate these panels? So we started to do that. And then from there, while we were starting to work with our different clients and startups, they started to ask, can we get some more time in front of businesses, in front of people? So we started running them in front of our classes. At Seneca College, they were getting some experience, they were enjoying that, but they were like, we need more, we need more. So we created an event down the street at 251 Queen, and we invite all of you to come out next week on the 27th. It runs at 5:30, it's called the Lodge on Queen, which is 251 Queen, and we run the PitchIT TO, and that's kind of where it started in October last year. And we brought 4 companies at that time to come out, and we've actually gone up to 5, and now we've gone back down to the 4. And what we've done is we've just provided a space for startups to kind of talk about what they do. And it's pretty exciting. We get a lot of great feedback from everybody in the audience. So today, no pressure, but we're looking for some great questions. Things that are going to actually challenge the startups, because that's what's going to let them see a different point of view, but also get better. So in saying that, I'll kind of jump into kind of rules of engagement. And the way we operate is that it's a 10-minute pitch. We have 3 advisors. And the advisors are going to provide advice, comments, feelings, gut feelings, those types of details that are going to help, again, with the startup. And then we're going to go into about 5 minutes of Q&A. So I think everybody's been drinking. I don't see anybody that hasn't, so you guys are going to be asking questions like crazy. So we'll try and pass the mic out slowly, and everybody can ask as many questions as they like about the business. But be engaging. We really do want to hear your questions. And then outside of that, we're going to do 2 pitches, and then we'll have a 10-minute break so we can network a little bit. You guys can talk to the startups, and then we'll do 2 more pitches, and that's where probably we'll close it off at that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to let the advisors kind of go through and introduce themselves, because at the end of the day, we want to make sure that everybody's got their street cred as well, and that everybody's going to give some great feedback, and we have some great people at the front. So I'm going to pass it to Lucas, and you guys can share a little bit about yourselves.
Sure. Thanks, Jeff. Hi. How's everyone doing? Okay, that was pretty good. Pretty good. Exactly. Hi, my name is Lucas Chang. I do a few projects. I run an incubator, entrepreneur incubator for teenagers to give them a head start if they're curious about learning what it's like to solve problems and monetize that. I help them do that. I lead a community of entrepreneurs in York region called, it's a not-for-profit volunteer-run thing called Startup York. The whole idea is to try to replicate what is in Liberty Village, what is in King and Spadina, but in a virtual suburban place, because suburbia is supposed to be really boring. That's not true. Lots of things are happening. And we're one of the voices that are trying to bring together entrepreneurs to connect and do in a no-pitch, no-sales environment. I'm an angel investor with the York Angel Network, and that's actually where Jeff and I were before we came down here. And what that means is we tend to listen to pitches, and we decide if we want to put our money into it. And part of being an angel investor also is wanting to mentor and give back. So typically angels have a very altruistic, community-driven side. I'm part of a startup software company called Perfectly Soft, based in Newmarket. We have a little small competitor called IBM. That's been fun. So a lot of the little projects. One thing I will say, just to build on something Jeff said, I spent 15 years in big corporate, Accenture and TELUS, and one of my biggest fears when I left was, would a startup really be interested in what I learned from my big company background? I quickly realized yes, not because, nothing about me, but the lessons and the things I did day to day in a big organization, once I stripped away all the bureaucratic stuff, really was meaningful. Governance, planning, what's next, risk assessment, risk management. So as you guys listen to these pitches, consider those elements that you do in your day-to-day. I believe they're very relevant for what these guys are going to do. I do know one of the companies, and I think the risk management side of kind of, several of your brains would be very, very relevant. So like Jeff, I would encourage you to ask a lot of questions. Thank you.
That is very hard to follow. Hi, everyone. So many of you already know me. My name is Catherine Van Dries. I am the communications specialist for MLMC just upstairs. I actually only started at this company in May of 2016. I'm a recent graduate of the University of Waterloo's Arts and Business Digital Arts Communications Specialization Program. It's a mouthful. I'm very, very passionate about ideas and pitching. I've participated and organized several different ideathons, pitch competitions, both in Toronto and in Waterloo across various industries, including a joint partnership with incubator space in Waterloo in an area called the Tannery, including the Accelerator Center. I've done work with the Women in Ideas competition sponsored by the He for She campaign and their Impact 10 by 10 by 10 approach, which the University of Waterloo is in partner with, as well as a recent competition 2 years ago called the Cities of Tomorrow, which is run by LUMCO, which actually looks at housing, affordable housing, and innovations to public policy. So a lot of different buckets, a lot of different interests on my part.
So most of you probably don't know me because I'm very new to the organization. So I started with MLMC in January of this year. I am a senior consultant, special projects and financial analysis. So I work with the innovations team as well as on other strategic initiatives. I went to the Richard Ivey School of Business. So there I didn't do pitches, but I would do a lot of case competitions. So I guess I've been in their shoes before from just presenting to people and in corporate. Prior to joining MLMC, I was at PwC, so I was in the deals group. So I worked with a lot of either startups or mature organizations, helping them create valuation schedules. So that's it for me.
Okay, awesome. So we're going to jump right into it. So the first group that's going to go up is Urban Farmers. So gentlemen, come on up.
Thank you very much, Jeffrey and the OPM network and his team. They've been amazing. We had the opportunity to pitch, I guess it was about 6 weeks ago, to a smaller group, and it was amazing. Some of the teams that are here today, they pitched with us, and what we got out of it was completely invaluable. So as Jeffrey had mentioned before, for anybody out in the audience here who is even considering some form of a startup, this is the network, this is the entity to talk to and to get involved with, because just out of a small little incubation, it's amazing what you can get from it. So again, a round of applause to him and his team for that. My name is Sheldon Pilot, and my partner in crime is Michael Laverne, and we are Urban Farmers. Together, we have about 40 years of corporate multinational experience, and it goes all the way from sustainable procurement to global supply chain management, right up to digital marketing and community engagement, et cetera, et cetera. Our goal as a group, as a collective group, because we're just starting to expand our team, is to basically provide disruption in the current and traditional produce retail environment. And that means that for anybody out there, let's just get a show of hands. How many people in the last 2 weeks purchased some vegetables? Everybody, right? Everybody. And how many people purchase fruit and herbs and flowers? Excellent. Now, you probably had to go outside of your home environment or on the way home from work, etc., to do that. And wouldn't it be great if you could actually go to an app that can actually do it for you within your community of urban growers? And that's basically what Urban Farmers is all about. Let's dive right into it on the slide here. So we are, as I mentioned, an e-commerce farmers marketplace. We're fueled by community urban agro farmers. We are servicing local conscious consumers. Conscious consumers are individuals, probably like yourself, who really care where your food supply is coming from. We offer delivery, on-demand, real-time. It's pickup or Dropbox services. And around the city of Toronto, there are many places that actually have key code Dropboxes, which is really great for what we're planning to offer. The app itself and the platform is free for consumers, and we'll get into the e-store subscription transaction fee for the urban agro farmer. So you as the consumer can go to ufarmers.com right now, and you can pre-register, and you'll get some promos and all that. We plan to go live June 1st. We're developing our MVP right now. And the way that it works is, I just want to give you some insights into the next slide there, if we could. And we're going to go back to bringing Michael right now up, because he's actually going to spend about a couple minutes just giving you an overview of why there's a need for this.
Okay, well, as you can tell, Sheldon's still got really good eyesight, and I don't. And so let's hear it for those old corporate rebels who are still trying to change the world, right? Okay, so thank you very much, Sheldon, to everybody for taking the time to be with us here today. I want to talk a bit, thank you, Sheldon, for giving me all the heavy lifting for the next 5 minutes, a little bit about the impetus, the creation and genesis behind Urban Farmers, and very particularly the three identifiable business case concerns with fresh food supply chains today. Now, this is a great business opportunity that we want to talk about, but this is also a very personal mission for both Sheldon and I, because it was serious health concerns within our own families that led us to reconnect with growing our own food. And we asked the same questions over the last couple of years that more and more consumers are asking today. Who grew this? What type of seeds and fertilizer are being used? No GMO. Were they paid fair living wages? And how has this produce been treated, stored, and transported across vast distances, all of which only serve to compound both water and GHG footprints, soon to be very taxable? In short, some serious traceability and transparency issues to deal with. Second is the rising cost of fresh food in Canada, exacerbated by an 80% dependency on imported fruits and vegetables, all paid for in US dollars, by the way. So in a city like Toronto, where food security and affordability are quickly becoming very hot-button issues, on the backseat of a 9% increase in fruit and vegetables in 2015, another 5% in 2016, and according to Dalhousie University's 7th annual Canada Food Price Report, an additional 5% this year. That's $420 additional this year alone on the average Canadian's fresh fruit and vegetable bill. So 19% price increase over the last 3 years of our most basic fruit and vegetable needs, controlled 80% by an unpredictable neighbor to the south. Now, I know there's a lot of insurance folks in the audience. And in my 20 years of running supply chain management around the world for little shops like Sara Lee Corp, Walmart, Loblaws, Shoppers Drug Mart, Bureau Veritas, and Hong Kong-based Li & Fung, this is what we call a high-risk scenario. Most relevant to why we're here this afternoon is to talk about the lack of market access tools to support truly local backyard farmers and urban growers coming together to share with their neighbors and to recuperate some cost of operating, sometimes just to make some cash or even to gift to those in food need in our communities. So we are the matchmaker and community platform that is putting simple yet powerful tech tools to work, helping backyard and balcony farmers connect to conscious consumers for the fair sale or gifting of locally grown urban agriculture. Now let's look a little bit at those two communities that we're working to bridge. The potential urban farming base in Canada is significant and probably has a lot to do with our deep historic immigrant farming roots. I myself, though having enjoyed a rather urban lifestyle living around the world, am quite proud of my Saskatoon grandfather's farm boy roots. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that in a 2013 nationwide survey by Stats Canada, some 13 million households, more than 7.5 million nationally, grew some form of home-consumed fruits, vegetables, or herbs. Right. So they may be small amounts, they may be large amounts. And similarly here in Toronto, a recent industry survey took away 40% of GTA household. That's 400,000 households who are also growing their own produce. So these are latent micro farmers, if we will, just as they were once latent chauffeurs and latent innkeepers and latent dog walkers and latent Etsy makers. This is what we're calling the democracy of food. This disruptive potential of bringing these supply and demand forces together in growing urban communities across Canada, or to Canada's north, or across depressed rural heartlands of America, or globally, is tremendous, and this is where our mission lies, in bringing these communities together. Now let's take a look at the demand side. Consumer markets in Canada for fresh fruit and vegetables now approach $19 billion. Fruits and vegetables, fresh fruits and vegetables. That's a $7 billion spend in Ontario, $1.25 billion in the GTA at retail, again, 80% of which is imported and paid for in US dollars. Right? So organics provide for us what we believe is a true micro-market benchmark a current national market that stands at about $2.8 billion, $200 million in spend in the GTA last year, highlighting an increased consumer awareness and desire for clean, healthy, safe, traceable food, best represented, we argue, by local backyard farmers, urban growers, greenhouses, and growing urban operations, in short, by urban farming. And I'll hand it back to Mr. Sheldon.
Thank you. So as you can see, there's a direct correlation between need from the problems, the issues that Michael has presented. And where we are right now is we're going to actually get into what the app looks like. So what we're proposing is a solution that is a mobile app based on a platform, and that's really important because it's not just an app. It's a very robust platform, similar to Shopify, similar to Uber, etc. And the reason being is that for the urban agro farmer, what they're going to be able to do is they're going to be able to create an e-store. And the e-store is going to have a separate URL as well, and you'll be able to subscribe to it, or you can actually, it'll break down into a transaction fee, and you'll get your own promoted URL within our network of conscious consumers. That's really important because right now we're the only platform in North America that provides that. Shopify doesn't provide that, Etsy doesn't provide that, et cetera, et cetera. You go in and you can't search for all of the businesses, the 300,000 businesses that are currently utilizing Shopify. The great thing about our platform is literally you go into either your profile avatar or you go into a search box that allows you to put in your postal code, and that populates all of the geo-farmers in your geofence community. Let's talk a little bit about monetization from this platform. So you're going to see right here the urban farmers and the sellers. Again, it's free to the consumer. So we have both subscription fees, we have transaction fees, we have partner rebates with companies like Lowe's, Home Depot, et cetera, advertising revenue stream, and then we get into the second tier, the deliveries. We are currently utilizing 5 eco-friendly courier companies. Most of them are all bicycle and foot power courier companies. Again, in the case of where your urban farmer is literally on the same block as you, 9 times out of 10, they'll probably arrange for a pickup. But with our deliveries, it's real time, it's on demand. So when you say, just like Uber Eats, that you want it, you put the order in and it's supposed to come within 25 minutes or whatever the distance is from your home environment, that's basically, you'll be able to plot it and see where that courier is. There's no leaving anything on your door, nothing in bags or containers, et cetera, et cetera. Not that there's anything wrong with that, just keep in mind that's not what we're about. So let's just get to the slide that brings up the actual cost. We have a basic plan, we have a premium plan, and we have an SMB plan. And just for the folks who think that urban farming is just for the backyard farmer, in Montreal, there's a company called Lufa Farms. They currently have, I think, approximately 125,000 square feet of rooftop farms that are utilizing greenhouses. So they're going and they're creating relationships and partner relationships with businesses where they can take over their rooftop space. And for us right now at our corporate head office, which is at CSI on 215 Spadina, there's a rooftop garden there that we plan to manage over the course of the summer as well. And then we'll go into the next, which is the overview for the projections. Michael had presented you on those consumer insights about what the marketplace looks like in Toronto. In year one, we're only focusing on 2017 Toronto. Out of the 400,000 units that represented individuals, households who were actually subscribing or participating to urban farming, that's 400,000 homes. Our actual projections that we need for a revenue stream is 0.70%. That's under 1% in order for us to be profitable at the end of fiscal 2017. We're looking at 2,800 urban farmer subscribers. So when you do the math, we're going very conservative here and we're being very realistic with our projections. By year two, we're branching out to Vancouver and to Montreal. Year 3, we're in 5 additional territories, key territories across Canada, and then we're looking in the US. But we're focusing first on Canada because obviously this is where we're based. We're a federal incorporated company, so we will have divisions and offices in each of those territories that we are going to be establishing a business. And then the next slide, these are some key metrics that we're looking at. Again, the 0.0% of the 400,000 households, that's basically for year 1 that we have to attain. We're looking at a social media engagement of 1,000 daily users, and we're interacting with them. And then on the website, we're looking at 10,000 monthly average users, and that's either pre-registration, where they can come, they can create their profile avatar, they can download the app, they can use the resource center, they can get special offers, you name it, it's all going to be on the front-facing website. And then Michael's going to come up and just finish off with a couple more slides, and then we're going to be open to questions.
Okay, very quick look at a very fragmented competitive landscape right now, especially by old line retailers in the face of a current e-commerce onslaught that folks like Rocket, Amazon, Shopify, and more, and with Walmart recently joining the fray by purchasing some online retailers, we think there's still a lot of space to play here. Community stakeholders really, people down in this corner like Food Share and so forth, are really not competitors for us, rather partners for us as we look to play a responsible role in trying to end food insecurity in the community. Organic delivery folks are already almost now the status quo in the industry, which is growing slower than it has been over the next decade, but we have some very strong players who have done a lot of community work in this area, and they really certainly deserve our respect. Fresh meal replacements from recent market discussion are still a very niche, nascent niche, struggling with managing both scale and quality issues. So if we look specifically up in the urban agro marketplace, it's really kind of blue ocean for us at the moment. There are a couple of very localized developments underway, one in Canada and another one in Mexico, but not quite far along as we are at the moment. We'll jump to the next slide. Taking a very quick look at where we are on timeline. So as we speak, the backbone of the platform is starting to take shape under the guidance of Justin Wood and his team at Craftwork Digital as we continue to bootstrap the work that began in early 2016. At our current stage, we brings us here for the ask tonight and looking to identify and collaborate partners with the vision and commitment to share this future with us in pushing through the launch of the platform. The financing that we're looking for at the moment is $250,000 for 10% equity in the company. And of course, we've got a rather deep 5-year projection financial deck to support discussion on that. And that wraps up with contact. So sorry I went about 45 seconds, but appreciate the time. And thanks again for coming out this afternoon.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, guys. All right, so the advisor panel, you guys have 1 minute each. Just kind of give your feedback, your thoughts, and then we'll just kind of move the mic along, and then we'll open it up to the floor. Go ahead.
Is it on? Okay. So my feedback, so good job on the presentation. One thing that came to mind is I'm a subscriber to the Mama Earth and as well as a local meat delivery service. And the big thing for me is the delivery fees. And so I was wondering, as I would be the ultimate user, not the subscriber, if they didn't have everything I would want, if there was some kind of reduction in the delivery fee, or if I'd have to pay a delivery fee for each one of them.
Good question, excellent question. And no question here is a dumb question, so the more the many. What would happen in the case of you have a shopping list and your urban farmer within your geofence can't facilitate that? It gets aggregated, and through that aggregation, the price is then determined on the final whether you decide to do a delivery or whether it's a drop box or a pickup is free, obviously. You as a subscriber, as a conscious consumer, will also have loyalty reward points, and the more that you attain is the more that you can apply to whether it's a delivery or even to your actual purchase.
And then in terms of the drop box or the delivery, what are the hours? Because that's another thing I have a problem with my meat one, is I'm never available at any of the times for the pickup or the drop off.
Yeah, the drop box will be 24 hours. So you have 24 hours, you're sent a key code, and they're conveniently located in specific areas throughout the city, throughout the GTA. Yep.
Thank you.
All right, great presentation. I was actually there at your first one 6 weeks ago. Lufo Farms. Yeah. Who knew? So again, like thinking back to 6 weeks from now, I can definitely see how you have built upon and improved your presentation. It was very entertaining and very interesting. I have a question though about the ultimate end user satisfaction. So one of the challenges I found being an end user on Etsy and purchasing things online is it's a little bit more challenging to use their rating system compared to something like Airbnb where you can be rated back. And I have heard Etsy sellers confess to me that they find sometimes the reviewing process, because it is very one-sided, can negatively impact and actually stigmatize some of the sellers. So I was curious whether or not you'd put any thought into that, or if you'd built in a rating system into your platform.
We are, and again, a great question. The question was, will there be a rating system within the platform within Urban Farmers? And yes, 100%. The rating will be offered both to the urban farmer and to the conscious consumer. And I understand what that's like, because part of our insights, our market insights research, I actually became an Uber driver. So I have been doing that part-time just to glean as much information about what the user experience would be like, both as a driver and as a rider. So I get that feedback from the riders all the time, and we've been able to utilize that and within our own development. So it's really important that you have those, I think, balanced rating systems. And as you said, it can't. The thing that I find about Uber is that it's very basic, and it doesn't affect the actual rider getting that driver, but it does allow you to, when you dive a little bit deeper, to learn a little bit more about that driver, and that's about all it is. It's kind of like, let's have a little interactive gimmick attached to it. We don't want it to be that way. With every urban farmer that signs up, they actually have to go through, just like with Uber, you have to go through quite a rigorous background check, quality assurance check, et cetera, et cetera. So as what was mentioned at the beginning of the introduction by Jeremy and by Andreas, there's a lot of best practices that you folks are doing on a daily basis and that I've done throughout my career that are very applicable to what our structure is going to be as well. So does that answer a little bit about it?
That's great.
Yeah? Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Thanks. Great presentation. I love the cause. It makes a lot of sense. I thought you did a really great job of kind of sizing the macro, and then we've kind of spent some time talking about the operational. What was missing for me was how it was the middle. So my questions were, it seems to me that the value proposition to any of the farmers would be the size of the market who are potential buyers. So my questions are, you had the 2,800 and you said it's 0.7% of the households in Toronto. What's your plan to reach 2,800? Because I didn't get a sense of the operational side of how you'd reach them.
Great question. So starting at the beginning of May, we are spreading out across all of the wards of Toronto, and we will have a community awareness program. So every day there will be community managers and teams literally out there spreading the gospel of urban farmers, giving away promo cards, very similar to what you see on the streets of Toronto with Foodora. Almost identical. At that time, we're just trying to point them to the website for the pre-registration sign-up. And then throughout the year, we'll be working on that even more. We'll have some tendencies where we're sponsoring events, et cetera, PR, news media, social media campaigns, et cetera, et cetera. Just to get a little bit deeper onto how are we going to acquire those conscious consumers, we're looking at a network of almost 10,000 per month in sign-up and registration of those conscious consumers. No, once we start. Right now, I think we have about 1,800. We've done just a very small launch that is all basically word of mouth and social media. We're on Instagram, Twitter, et cetera, et cetera. But once we kick into high gear, that's really what we're going after, is we're going after those pre-registrations so that we do have an existing case to present to the urban farmers, because they're going to be asking that same question. What's in it for us? You want us to sign up, subscribe, transaction fee, et cetera, but what do you have to offer us?
And I think to build on that, having, as you do future presentations, and you have the data, that'll be key. Because one of the questions I had was, I wasn't sure what the experience was from a a buyer standpoint, and therefore that would affect the credibility from a seller, from a farmer standpoint, and your value, your UVP versus other providers. I think you touched on it with the 2x2 matrix.
6 minutes more now.
So I'll stick her up the director's cut, the extended version. But I think that would help. If I put the investor hat on, that wasn't clear to me, and therefore for me to think about, do I invest in you guys or something else? The kind of the go-to-market plan, which you covered, but also the UVP that makes you unique compared to the others out there. Why would a farmer choose you, and why would a buyer choose you versus all the other options, which you both have covered?
Buyers and sellers in the urban marketplace. Right? Unless you want to start selling fruits and vegetables through Shopify or Etsy.
But as a buyer, I don't care about that. As a buyer, no.
Sure.
Right? Because I don't care about platforms.
But it's not within their current tech scope, let's say. And the good thing about where we've landed is, speaking to all the insurance and risk management folks, is we're existing within a very clean niche that municipalities are opening for people who want to do business in this area, right? So as long as you're not processing your food in any way, there's a whole range of legislation that you don't have to live up to or touch. That said, we've built into the setup process of bringing onboarding, soil sampling, testing, ongoing quality control, and so forth.
So again, I believe in this. So don't get me wrong. I guess I'm just trying to figure out how do you get into my consideration set, and then why would I choose you versus other options. So I mean, it sounds like you have you put thought into that, but those would be the kind of couple key questions.
Yeah, I think with everything, and again, great set of questions. I think with every new impetus that starts within an industry, and that's basically what we're talking about. We're creating a new industry here. This is part of the shared economy, the peer-to-peer transaction economy, the collaborative economy, as they're calling it. PwC has made a prognosis that by 2025, the shared economy will be yielding $335 billion. Now, that's a big chunk of change, and you've got everybody. I mean, there are third-party companies, fourth-party companies who are all riding on the coattails of the Ubers, the Etsys, the Airbnbs, you name them. They're all doing that. As we develop, and as you said, why would I choose you? Well, fortunately, we're the only one in the marketplace, but that doesn't mean that's the reason why you should choose us. We have to have all of the same business standards that everybody has when they're starting a business and when they've sustained that business, and that's from ethics to eminence to integrity. You go through the list. Everybody here knows what that is because they all practice that here at Munich. So we just have to make sure that with our management team, we're always adhering to those standards. And if we don't, we're going to hear about it from both the urban farmer and the consumer.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so just because of the timing, we'll take one question, and then we'll try to do more on the next one, just because obviously we're spending a lot of good time talking with the guys. Does anybody have one question?
Hey.
Probably a very obvious one. I'm fully getting that I'm getting my cherry tomatoes from you in August. I'm just imagining what would my box look like for my bicycle kind of delivery boy at the 20th of January, actually. Yeah,
so you're probably Mama Earth mentioned they're using containers, et cetera, et cetera. We're looking at bio-friendly containers, so it necessarily wouldn't be a container, it'd be a shopping bag. Because the lead time is very short, you're getting it from the moment you place your order, you actually get it and you'll be able to track it immediately.
Sorry, maybe a wrong question. It was really about the product. What kind of products are you getting out?
Ontario has year-round production of fresh vegetables. Some
from urban farmers.
Some fruits. Not all, some urban farmers mostly, let's say, outlying greenhouse installations, right? But you're talking about building an industry, and you're looking at the second and third tier services and business ideas that spill off of that, right? Services that are already available and kicking up a great amount of money on Kickstarter for self-managing installed under-counter grow spots, right? Whether you want to grow herbs or you want to grow tomatoes, that's up to you, right? But there's a whole series of add-on and knock-on benefits that will tie to this. Certainly within winter months, through the first 3 years of our projection, we've cut sales expectations far back, looking at the reality of existing urban space now. Okay. But we also project growth in that area as, you know, Jesus, Toronto's trying to catch up to Montreal and put a greenhouse on a roof. Come on, people, you know. Vancouver, they're way ahead of us on this, but City Hall is actually the ones pushing forward on regulatory openings for people to be able to do this. And a very important part, to speak back to the social impact, is this is a social enterprise. It's a for-profit social enterprise driven by creating local jobs, driving down GHG, taking money out of the hands of industrial food and giving it back to the people. Thank you.
And I'm just going to mention one last thing, because this is kind of an opportunity that we're not really projecting and we're not promoting. But as everybody knows, the recent regulations around marijuana, et cetera, and we get this asked all the time, how is that going to affect your business model and urban farmers? And right now we're just waiting to flow with everybody. So thank you very much. We really appreciate your attendance.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, give us a few seconds. We're going to make a change. The next company is Emerge.
Okay, so guys, so I'm here to talk about something a little bit different from the previous team. It's not about food, but it's also about health and quality, and it's about healthcare. So I'm going to start my presentation with a little bit of my background story of how I came to this country. It was 3 years ago. I came with a scholarship from the Brazilian government where I'm from Brazil. And I found Canada so amazing that I decided to stay. It's a great country, great people, and now I'm making my life here and opened a business to solve some problems. 2 years ago, I actually had to take a friend of mine to the emergency department. And after getting there, they made us wait for 8 hours. My friend was suffering with stomach pain and was hurting a lot. And the guy was rolling on the ground of pain. And he told me he wanted to throw up. So I went to talk to the nurse, and she was like, well, I have a bucket here. You can take it to your friend. And that was really kind of shocking to me, because I was like, well, Canada, this great place, why this is happening, right? And I thought it was an isolated case after that day. When the doctor got to see him, it was appendicitis. He went straight to surgery. Today he's fine. He's back home. But I thought it was an isolated case, but I was wrong. Ryan Sinclair died after waiting 34 hours on the emergency department. And it doesn't stop there. Actually, Canada has been ranked worst among the well-developed countries regarding wait times. And this doesn't only affect patients, but it's affecting everyone that plays a role in the system. Hospitals, together with the government and the insurance companies, are being affected by losses every year of $4 billion. And the government has been trying to spend more than $2.2 billion a year to try to solve the problem, but a solution didn't come yet. Walk-in clinics, on the other hand, are actually losing a potential revenue of $198 million because patients that go to the ER could be seen by a physician on the walk-in clinic, but they choose the ER instead because they don't have enough information. So what are we doing to try to solve this problem? So we created a software that it's a patient-centric application. So we are giving patients the power of choice. So for the first time, patients will have this application where they can actually see which hospitals and clinics are most available for them and has the most specialty based on their conditions. So not only that, they can actually have information regarding how many patients are waiting in the queue, how long is the wait time that they're probably going to be facing, and they also can have their personal health health information pre-sent in advance to hospitals, where they can actually, through our dashboard over here, see that you are coming, how long you're going to take to get there, and the reason that you are coming. So for the first time, they will be able to, instead of being on a reactive mode, they will be on a proactive mode working for you, or working on you even before you got there. So the benefits that we are bringing to this is to everyone in the system, and they are huge. For hospitals, for the first time, they are able to predict with live data the incoming patients. With that, they can actually do a load spreading and diverge the patients into the different rooms that they have into the hospital, increasing very much the patient flow and increasing efficiency and delivering cost savings. For walk-in clinics, they deliver a much better customer satisfaction, and they increase their clientele, because through our system, patients are leaving the ER and going to walk-in clinics instead, because now they know when they are open and when they are available for them, even on weekends and nights. Patients are actually getting the power of choice. They're engaging on their own healthcare system. They are receiving a faster care. And you, for the first time, will be actually owning your own health information. So you are going to put in there which allergies you have, which medications you are taking, so on and so forth. And we have a feature that we allow actually you to wait from home instead of waiting on the waiting room in a walk-in clinic. So instead of waiting 2 hours with other sick people, why don't you wait in a couch watching Netflix and go for your appointment at your time? So the market, based on our revenue model, it's actually very big. It's bigger than $600 million in North America alone, including US and Canada. There is a very big liability issue in terms of health information. So we are gathering here information such as which allergies you have, which medications you take, how many surgeries have you done. So we got to make sure that this information is actually protected and secured in a way that you can feel comfortable with it, and hospitals can actually look at us with this information being valuable to them. So the way we are doing this is partnering with the 3 major players in Canada that are actually storing healthcare information based through APIs. So we do TELUS in Canada together with MedStack, and Microsoft Health Vault for the US market. Our revenue model, it's pretty simple. It's completely free for patients. So you are going to get this application for free and be able to choose where you want to get care. But hospitals and clinics will pay us some money. And that is a setup fee to install our system into the hospital, integrate with their EMR software, and a recurrent monthly subscription fee to have access to our dashboard and be able to receive the data alive. Walk-in clinics, on the other hand, will be paying us per patient that we refer to them. So now 47% of patients that are going to the ER and can be seen by walk-in clinic, once they choose to go to the walk-in clinic instead of the ER, but clinics are getting more traffic, and they are willing to pay us a referral fee for each patient that goes to them. Our go-to-market strategy is pretty simple, but it takes a lot of time as well. We are currently building a user base, and we are focusing on moms with young children. So we could spot that they are the people that use the ER most frequently because of their kids, and we are focusing on them. Not only that, we are also focusing on people with chronic diseases and nursing homes that use it a lot. We are doing a pilot project in hospital at South Lake in Newmarket this end of June, beginning of July. So we can actually prove the concept. And after that, after we get the Ontario market, we can expand to the USA, where we will avoid request for proposal and hard sell that happens here in Canada because of the public system. Our sales forecast is quite good. We plan to make more than $20 million by the year of 2020 because of this system that we have. Our journey started from humble beginnings. We started as a Startup Week in York region last year. We won as the best idea. Then we were selected to go to the European Innovation Academy in Nice, France, where we actually were selected as top 15 among 500 other participants in there. And we were selected as the best overcrowding solution for hospitals. We were invited to go to accelerators in the Valley and in countries like the Netherlands. We made a partnership with South Lake, a hospital which helped us to create the dashboard that you guys saw, aiming which information is important for them to see. We've had international recognition from Brazilian hospitals and Australian hospitals that are interested in our solution. We've actually also got government grants from OCE, angel investment, and our latest accomplishment was we launched our first phase of our app in Apple Store and Play Store that is already available for download. So through our projected growth, we have some milestones completed, as I mentioned to you. We raised more than $65,000 before we had any product. We're still talking to the government officials to see how we can overcome the procurement process and implement this provincial-wide. And right now we are working on a government grant of $500,000, which needs to be matched by a private investment of $500,000. As a future milestones, we plan to enhance our platform, we plan to go North America wide, and we plan to hire the people that can actually help us to build our dream. So I would like to end with this, and thank you very much for helping us make the Canadian healthcare system better.
Awesome. Okay, guys, over to you, and we'll just throw out some comments, and maybe you can bucket it into a big answer, and then we'll go to the crowd. Yep. Okay? Go ahead.
So good presentation, and I really liked that you were very passionate and you presented it really well. So that was really good.
Thank you.
And I think one thing is just from the revenues, I'm sure you would have spent a lot more time if you had more, but I was just curious as to how much of it would actually be coming from the hospitals versus the smaller clinics, just because I'm not sure how much time the hospitals would actually have to be able to upload this unless there's an easy format for them to put that in. So
thank you for your question. The big money at the beginning starts from hospitals because they pay us a subscription fee. But after a certain point, there is a break even where clinics bring us the bigger revenue. Because for every patient that goes there, we get this referral fee. So if you look into the difference, it's actually 3 times clinics versus hospitals that bring us the money. But we do need the hospitals to be able to provide you patients with information such as how many patients are in there, wait time. So we need them to be on board so we can actually provide you the details that you need to make a better decision, right?
Is there some kind of software or something that can easily help with that? Because I know in triage and stuff they type things in. I was just curious because I know lots of nurses and they have no time for anything. So I'm wondering how they would have time to upload that.
Yeah, so the information that the patients provide to hospitals comes in this dashboard that hospitals have. Let me see, this one over here. And it's automatically transferred to the EMR software. So the 3 major EMR softwares already in Canada, they have public APIs where third-party companies or startups such as us can connect to their system, and once the patient gets, there is a button here that says transfer data, and the registration process is eliminated on the hospital. So there's no need anymore to input information such as address, date of birth, and OHIP card. It's all automatically through our system.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.
Also, great presentation. I really like the format, especially that you started with a more personal story. You pointed out quite correctly, healthcare is a really big issue in Canada and something people are automatically, I think, interested in. I also had a question, actually, about the platform itself. Is it cloud-based or is it software as a service? Because I know one of the other conditions that hospitals do talk about, although you mentioned they have public APIs, is they do have a lot of legacy systems, a lot like other corporations. And will this actually integrate well with their system? And how much money would they also need to invest in having their own internal IT for security reasons make sure that it works?
So the good thing is we sit on top of the EMR softwares that hospitals are using. And luckily for us, there is 3 major players, such as McKesson, which is actually leaving the country, but there is Cerner and Meditech. And this, once we integrate with their API, automatically we can just go into the hospital and upload our system. It's automatically fit into their system. So there's no need integration for each individual hospital. It's for each individual system. Does it make sense? So once we integrate it with the major player, it means that, let's say we integrate with one hospital that uses Cerner. Any other hospital that uses Cerner, we are already integrated. It's just a matter of loading our application because it sits on top of that system.
Okay, so the application would be internal, though? They wouldn't have to log in through the web?
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
Good job, Paulo. One question to keep it short so we have time for more questions. The value prop of this hinges to a large extent on the trust that the consumers and doctors have from a personal health information standpoint, and then the trust that intake triage and clinic administrators have with kind of the inputting data so that the data that the consumer has is accurate about wait times. What's your plan to build that credibility and that trust in those those four segments?
So that's, thank you very much, Lucas. That's a very good question. And that's why we are not actually getting very deep into personal health information in terms of, this is not medical records, it's actually a health profile, right? So we are not actually maintaining your records from your doctor or anything, because that would be very dangerous in terms of who you are sharing with or who is actually being seen that. But this is information that the doctors and nurses actually ask you when you get to the ER, such as, are you taking any medications right now? Do you have any allergies? So it's information that we already are providing to them. It's just a matter of providing it quicker through a mobile application. Does that make sense? So we are not taking it. If you look at as a satellite, if you look from very far, you only see blurry stuff. As soon as you start getting closer, you start getting better quality. We are staying in a point where it's safe and also helps the system to actually be more efficient, if that answers the question.
Kinda, but I want to give time for others, so we can chat offline.
Thank you.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions, thoughts, comments?
Got one over here.
Hi there.
Hi.
I think your solution is a great solution. I'm more concerned with regards to your competition. So playing a little bit of devil's advocate. My doctor, for instance, you know, she kind of has a Saturday practice, call-ins, and I know that my doctor will actually lose money, maybe even be slapped on the hand by the government for, like, if I were to go to another clinic. So how are you competing? Like, how are you approaching that? How can you work with, say, my family doctor so that they don't lose money, you know? Because I guess I'm thinking more for you that my family physician would hate your product, is essentially what I'm trying to come to.
That makes sense if you look very narrow into your family doctor, but if you look into the system-wide itself, it will balance it out that your family doctor will be even happier, because your family doctor right now is very busy in terms of she cannot see you today. If you're sick right now, you actually have to seek care somewhere, because she's very busy and she sees a lot of patients, and she's paid by the number of patients that she sees throughout the year, right? So if you go there twice, 3 times, 4 times, for her is the same amount of money that she's seeing. So it's actually not very true that if you don't go there a lot of times, perhaps she's making even more money because she's seeing different patients and not only you. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, I don't know if my question was answered, because she's actually losing me as a patient if I'm going to somebody else.
No, she's not losing. She's still your family doctor.
No, I know, but she's losing the money from me. So she wants to keep me, and I'm wanting to know how your product is going to either alleviate or get rid, or, you know, like.
But the way she's paid, it's not per visit that you make to her. So the family doctors in Canada are not paid based on number of visits that they get, but based on number of clients that they have or patients that they have. So if you go see your family doctor once a year, or if you go see your family doctor 10 times a year, she still get paid the same amount. So if you still go see her one day, you're going to go there and be able to do that.
Actually, that's not true. Yeah. No, there is definitely a fee for group practices.
Yeah.
There is a per visit fee.
After a limited, isn't it? Like after a limit?
It's per visit. Yeah. And it's capped at $4.55 or whatever it is. Absolutely not.
Okay, so I need to learn that. Sorry, guys. Yeah.
Possibly offer some clarification. I think that there's a confusion. So the possible point of clarification here, there may be a blurring of the lines. We're not talking about utilizing this application as a way to circumvent your family doctor for regular checkups and annual checkups. This is more along the lines of emergency visits. So if you were going to go for some type of emergency treatment, you know, you may call your family doctor first, but if you've got an appendix that's about to burst, if she can't take you, I don't know if you're going to care so much about how much money she makes. So the idea here is this is to take care of the emergency. Yeah, so his market is for people that are looking for emergency care and not the sort of regular visits that you're referring to.
Okay, one last question.
Hey man, I started Canada's first block fee program, Canadian prepaid medical plan, so if you need help, I'm happy to advise you on that.
Yeah, please.
It's not the world I live in anymore, but I can introduce you to some people.
Amazing, thank you. Yeah, and good question.
Go ahead.
Sure. So having dealt with the emergency situation on my own end, a lot of the emergency cases happen overnight from midnight onwards. Yeah. And personally, I have looked into clinics that are open after midnight, and a lot of them, because they're private and they don't have the emergency, either the room or the surgical, I guess, equipment or the expertise, they're simply closed. So on one end of the equation, are you finding that there's enough inventory for after-hours care to balance the equation? And also on the hospital side, are they actually eager to kind of, offload their load overnight to other clinics, or are you seeing resistance there?
So it's actually a very good question. In terms of how many clinics are offering after-hours delivery of health right now, it's actually not enough. But we found out that through our app, they're actually willing to be open after hours. So I have this clinics that is our client right now, and they are going to be opening on Sundays, which they are not today, just because I'm going to bring them traffic that today that they don't have, right? Because usually patients, they think about, okay, it's Sunday afternoon, I know that all the clinics are closed, and it's very hard to find a system to actually search them. It's not user-friendly such as our system. So they take their way to the ER. So our platform will be able to help clinics to be after hours because they increase the number of patients that they're seeing. Now, in terms of the hospital questions, yes, we saw a bit of resistance in terms of, okay, you're going to get my patients and you're going to diverge to either other hospital or other clinics, and my bucket is going to be reduced by the end of the year, and that's not good for me, right, in terms of financial. But if you see, again, if you see in the bigger picture, it actually works out, because even though I'm taking patients away from you when you are very busy, I'm also bringing back the patients for you when you are not that busy. So it means that I'm alleviating a pain which doctors are suffering, nurses are suffering, and if you see the losses that makes for making patients wait are much more. It hits the system in a bigger scale, right? Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, we're going to jump into the next one. Metaverse. Oh, let's get ready to rumble!
Okay, guys, I think we're ready to get started. Thank you very much for including us today. Just wanted to say how cool it is that your company is actually hosting something like this. So kudos to Chris and everybody else who has made this happen, and definitely to Jeff and the OPN team. So our company is called Metaverse. We will actually be celebrating our 1-year anniversary of our incorporation tomorrow. So you're all invited to the party. We haven't actually organized it yet because we've been too busy working. So a little bit about us. My name's Dan. I used to be a lawyer, but I got better. Then I went back to school. I did my MBA at Ivy. You're an Ivy grad? High five. Spent a little bit of time in management consulting. Then I was leading Bell's social media strategy for about 5 years. Before social media, my interest in social media moved over to virtual reality as the next big thing. I met Alan at Toronto's virtual reality industry meetup, which happens about once a month. There are now 3 virtual reality industry meetups in Toronto, where there was only just one about a year ago, and the attendance keeps growing. So we're going to be talking about the exponential growth of this industry. I'll let Alan introduce himself for a little bit.
Hey everybody, my name is Alan Smithson, and I have been an entrepreneur my entire life, and I've had 3 exits so far. Now, when you say 3 exits, some were great, some not so great. Sometimes I got the boot at the door. But anyway, it's been a really amazing ride, and I've done some great things. I don't know if you've ever seen the big see-through touchscreen DJ controller emulator. I invented that, brought it to market, and now here I am. I saw virtual reality 4 years ago. I got to try on a headset, and I was literally transported to a Beck concert. I was standing on stage next to Beck going, oh boy, this is it. And so 4 years ago, I made a decision right there and then that I'm going to get into virtual reality. And the guy who showed me VR is a guy named Chris Milk. And if you are not familiar with him, look him up. He did the New York Times VR app. He's also created a bunch of wonderful VR content with a group called Within and Here Be Dragons. And now I met with Dan. We decided to make Metaverse. And just a fun fact, Metaverse, go back one slide, is the world you're in when you're in virtual reality. It's actually called the Metaverse. So it's kind of like naming your company the Internet when the Internet started. So it's a kind of an awesome name, I'm not gonna lie. And here we are right now, and we're gonna raise some money. How many people here are investors? Not gonna raise some money. All right, okay, we got one, we got two. How many investors are currently investing in tech? Okay, great. So I love you guys. If you have been living under a rock, you don't know what virtual reality is. If you have been in the world, virtual reality is when you put those little funny headsets on and it transports you into a crazy new world of dragons and underwater and sharks and space and no matter what you want. And so we'll get into this a little bit. Dan, carry on.
Thank you, Alan. So this is just a shot from VRLA, one of the world's leading tech conferences. So Alan was on a conference panel at that one. We're going to be at a few other conferences in Vancouver, Toronto, and back in San Francisco over the next month.
You're not selling this, man. So this is the largest VR conference on the planet. Dan is speaking at the largest AR conference on the planet next month, and we're speaking at the largest Canadian conference and at VRTO. If anybody wants to really try a bunch of VR stuff, VRTO is coming up in June. So we'll be speaking at all of these. We'll also have a booth at VRTO doing mixed reality.
Thanks again, Alan. So what do we actually do as a company with all of this amazing technology that's being built? Alan was talking about the entertainment uses. We're focused on the business uses. So we started off as an event activation company where we would bring virtual reality into corporate events, entertainment events, charity galas, things like that, just to really get our feet wet and learn about the technology. As we started expanding on that, we started getting requests for custom content and even productivity applications. So everything from large marketing activations for major consumer brands to training simulations for industrial clients. And we definitely have some ideas for the insurance industry. We're not going to pitch you on that today. It's not the time or place for that. These are some of our clients. They include HBO, Chorus, Kubota, Whirlpool, Samsung, and TELUS. So these are the companies we've had an opportunity to work with over the last year, and we're really excited for what the future holds. Because if you could imagine 8 years ago going into companies and telling them how important mobile would be to their strategy, that's where we are right now for VR, AR. It's just at the beginning, and companies are going to need a guide to shepherd them through how this technology is used. Alan's wearing a pair of Snapchat spectacles. That's an example of the wearable tech that is the vanguard of us eventually all having a pair of glasses that is a combination of virtual and augmented reality. In Silicon Valley, they're calling the combined thing XR now, which we hate because they change the name of what they're calling it in the industry every few weeks. So it's a little bit annoying, but let's just call it VR. That's the one that most people have heard of, and we'll just talk about the applications that we see for the industry and how we're going to be growing our business around it.
So our mission at Metaverse, we went through a deep dive on this, and our mission is to use virtual and augmented reality to enhance the human condition. Just today, we've actually had 2 clients call us. One was from a nursing home that wanted to bring virtual reality in and give people who are nearing their end of life experiences that they couldn't necessarily have. They can't get out. And by giving people these amazing experiences, it's really exciting for us. You know, it's maybe not the most business case, but at the end of the day, it's altruistic, and we really want to use this for good. So next slide. Our vision is to be the world's leader in virtual and augmented reality technology. We're already considered the top 100, I guess, probably top 100 in the world in this space. We decided to keep our fundamentals a little bit different. Most people are building one thing. The problem with building any one thing in an industry that's exploding as fast as VR is that that thing is obsolete by tomorrow. And I don't know if anybody's been watching the F8 conference. Facebook just announced a plethora of virtual and augmented reality. So I haven't even dug into it. Dan's writing an article, so you can follow on metaverse.com/blog. Dan will post his blog there. It's really important to note that this stuff is going to be on everybody's head. Everybody in 5 years from now won't be reaching in their pocket and looking at their phone. Everything will be on your glasses. It won't be a stupid headset on your head. It'll be a pair of glasses that look, you know, maybe not as ridiculous as these, but a pair of glasses that you wear that will give you a complete heads-up display for everything you need, from personal effects to directions to everything, but in a three-dimensional holographic foundation. It's incredible, the technology that's coming. The problem that we noticed right from the beginning is that as this tech explodes and as it really accelerates, there are very few people that actually understand the whole breadth of the industry. Sure.
How many people in the room have actually tried virtual reality or augmented reality?
How many people have tried VR?
Okay, that's good.
How many people have tried real augmented reality, HoloLens or Meta or, so one. So out of all of you, how many people, the people that have tried VR, real VR, room scale, where you get to go around and fight dragons and whatever it is, how many people have done real room scale VR? So 4 out of the whole room. So a year ago, I started pitching, and I would go into boardrooms, and 0 people have tried it, and we did a lot of demos. What's going to happen now is this is going to explode in every different direction. So Facebook just announced some stuff that's going to put Snap on their heels, or Snapchat. And I think it's really, really interesting in the fact that we chose a business model that scales, because we're not tied to any one technology. We're platform agnostic, and that allows us to be very flexible and build things that clients actually want. And one of the great things about our business model is, oh, sorry, no, wrong slide, sorry. One of the great things about our business model is that we actually own and retain the IP. Being a tech company, most companies don't care who owns the IP. They pay us, they say we want a solution, we make the solution, and we own the IP. So we built a photo booth for Samsung. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a 360-degree photo booth. Facebook wants it now, everybody wants to use it. So it's actually really interesting that we've built a business model where we can develop solutions and own the core IP and resell it to people and democratize it. So some stats about the industry.
Sure. So just at a very high level, we could say that there's going to be exponential growth of virtual and augmented reality. As we were just saying, we did a straw poll. A lot of people have actually tried some form of virtual reality in the room. A year ago, it would have been hardly anybody, and that's just going to continue to grow. And the types of experiences that people are trying in virtual reality are going to go from those Google Cardboard things to full immersive room scale virtual reality. And you know, won't go into the different types of virtual reality right now, but if anybody has any questions, we're happy to answer that. So a lot of financial analysts are looking at the industry. Forbes article was saying 142% estimated compound annual growth rate over the next 5 years.
That's actually been shown. So year over year from 2016, or sorry, 15 to 16 was 150% growth. Just in the first quarter, we've seen, they're estimating now the industry will hit $7 billion this year. So.
And a lot of that is not just in Silicon Valley in the US. China has a huge industry. The consumer industry there is exploding, and we're working with partners around the world right now. The really, really big number there is Citi Financial is projecting out to the 2030s that once that paradigm shift has happened and we go from mobile to augmented reality, whether that's a pair of glasses or contact lenses at that point, the industry is going to be worth trillions of dollars, accounting for, a lot of that is going to be accounted for by e-commerce moving into virtual and augmented reality commerce, where we're essentially being served ads as we're walking through a mall, as we're seeing products in the real world. So that's the industry the industry outlook that we're very excited about. So Alan was talking about the solution where, as a virtual reality agency and aggregator, we're working with a lot of different technology companies, the hardware companies, the individual software developers and independent developers to find the best solutions for our clients. And we're really putting together solutions rather than individual products. And I think our business model, just the
it's
only
pretty
other thing,
dope, I'm not going to lie. Our business model is actually the best business model. I was in VRLA, and I was actually really hammering people last week to see, you know, does this business model make sense? And every single person I told it to was like, man, that's really amazing. We wish we did that. Because the problem that we're seeing is that everybody's building one thing, and literally overnight those things are becoming obsolete. So if you're building a hardware piece, by the time you ship it across from China to North America, it's obsolete. So, you know, having a platform agnostic business model really makes sense at this point right now. We are building some solutions that will be long term and will own those platforms, but keeping our options open right now seems to be the best option.
And we're a very lean team, so actually our team right now is only 5 people, but through partnerships and through outsourcing of our development and different partnerships, we've been able to scale very quickly and serve some very large clients on more complicated projects. So our revenue model, Alan, do you want to talk about that?
Sure. The revenue model is simple. We sell stuff to people before we build it. We come up with great ideas. We bring it into companies. For example, MUNICH-RE, we have some solutions that have popped up that people are using virtual reality to recreate accident scenes and recreate scenes of that you want to show in a court case. So you want to do that. We're not going to make that. We're going to partner with the people who already did that. We're going to bring them in, make it for you, and make something deliverable immediately instead of having to wait and do trials. They've already done the test. Let's bring it to you in Canada. Let's do that. There's no time to wait because right now it's moving at such a pace that if you want to be first to market or you want to actually use this in a courtroom, courtroom's very important because you can now put jurors in any scene you want from any angle you want, and give them the ability to kind of sit in a scene and watch an accident happen, or watch a building, you know, that was previously insured. Maybe it's been previously scanned, so you can go in and go, hey, you know what? This building was a piece of shit before you did that. Am I right? Like,
absolutely.
You know,
so as I said, we're not going to go into too many of the individual applications today, but you know, basically, for every different industry out there, there are solutions that we're able to find, from mining to insurance, and we're happy to talk to people after that about that. And then the other part of it is that we are actually retaining the IP and monetizing that with future client work, as well as finding interesting licensing models. Strategic advisors, this slide could be a lot bigger. If you talk about our unofficial advisor network, we have gotten to know everybody in the VR industry. So the technical experts, as well as just investors and other experts.
The great thing about starting in VR 2 years ago when it wasn't a thing is that all the people you met 2 years ago are now running the big companies because they are the experts. They just literally by natural progression pushed up to the top, and now my friends that I slept on their couch are now running HTC and running Samsung VR and you know, ridiculous large companies now because they are the world's experts, and getting in early really paid off.
And aside from the advisory, just the strategic partnerships we have with a lot of the large hardware companies like Facebook, HTC, they're willing to actually invest in our projects sometimes to make it happen, because there's this great energy in the industry right now where people want to help each other. There's a lot of collaboration. There's a sense that a rising tide will float all ships. So, and that's really being communicated a lot, and that's benefited us, and we're contributing back to that community in a lot of ways. So IP, we have a patent on this 360 photo booth, the central light source that is really going to be the distinguishing factor in that photo booth technology. We've already used it for some major activations, including Chorus Entertainment, Global TV. They launched a sci-fi TV show called Timeless about time travel. I don't know if anybody watches it. It's pretty cool.
It's a photo booth. You go in, take a picture with a bunch of people, you can see yourself in VR. It's badass. The other thing is now you can print that off. So we used to have this as a printable. So we actually were trying to figure out how to print a photo on a sphere, a circular spherical photo. It doesn't work. I got 4 quotes back, and each one was over $1 million to make the printer. So we actually found a solution last week at VRLA. We'll announce it soon. but wow, that's incredible. VR in a box is something we're coming up with now. And basically that was from us doing hundreds of events, we realized that bringing a headset to people, you'd put it on their head and you go, here, try the sharks. And they'd put it on, they'd have this wonderful experience, and they'd pull it off and go, wow, that was amazing, I was in space. You're like, well, how did you get from sharks to space? So the headsets were designed not for commercial use, and what we decided to do is build a commercial headset that allows retailers as well, because the retail platform is the same thing, it's actually the same technology, it allows people to push out their content and have it locked to the headset. So you pick up the headset in a retail location, you get the experience, you put it down and it's done. And allowing retailers to really push out that content on scale. That's what we're building now.
And a few other projects that we can't talk about right now. First year performance, as I said, we're just coming up on our first year in business. It's actually a little bit over $700,000 in total revenue in this first year. A lot of that was some larger projects that we did with Chorus, and Samsung was our partner on the development of the photo booth. And a lot of very interesting smaller projects that we did for major brands that we showed some of them on that slide. And all of those brands are now part of our network, and we're developing relationships to do bigger and better projects with them.
We developed a really cool hashtag, paid to pitch. We realized that if we want to pitch people, you have to show them VR, because it's the only really way to do it. So we said if we did all their events and they paid us to do the events, we could show lots of people on scale, and that's what we did. So we got paid to pitch.
And we can talk a little bit more about what our projections are based on, but basically we are projecting closer to $2.5–3 million in revenue over the next year, just based on some of the things that are currently in our pipeline. And because we've invested already a lot in some of the infrastructure that we need to grow our business, such as some of these core technologies, we're expecting that our profit margins and EBITDA margins are actually going to be a lot higher. We had a lot of expenses in our first year. So
we're raising $2.5 million. We accept check, MasterCard, Visa, Amex. We're raising $2.5 million as a safe investment. It may not be the right investment for some people. We actually have decided that we're going to dictate the terms of this. If people really want to invest with us, that's wonderful. We're looking for strategic investors in retail. We've also decided to focus on retail and mining as our two main primary focuses. If people are interested, please see me afterwards, and we'll talk to you about the investment and get some documents to you.
And one other thing that we can't go into a lot of detail about this, but we are investigating actually creating an investment fund for early stage virtual reality and augmented reality companies. From all the conferences we've gone to, we've actually seen that some of the most valuable ideas are from very small two people working out of their garage. They've got a tiny booth that somebody gave them for free at one of these VR conferences, but they actually have some really winning ideas, especially the ones that are not geared towards the consumer market, but are more geared towards business
The entire VRLA was consumer market, and I found two things in the entire thing that were just gems, and nobody was paying attention because they're not looking for commercialized enterprise apps, and we are only looking for that. So we have a list of people that we're going to invest in, and with this fund, we can really kickstart an industry in Toronto, especially. We want to become the hub of VR in the city. So yeah, that'll kickstart that as well.
And just the last thing I'll say is that just based on our business model right now, where we work with a lot of VR developers who are in the industry and find new markets for their technologies, we think that it's a very logical next step for us to actually start advising an investment fund, because we feel like we're in a very good position to spot the best technologies and actually actively accelerate them based on the relationships that we have with our clients.
And the question you're asking, do we have experience running a $100 million fund? Absolutely not. So we partner with somebody who does that. So.
And that's our pitch.
Okay, awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to go through the advisors real quick and jump out one question so we can move quickly. So we have one more. Go ahead.
So great presentation, and congrats on your first year financial performance. It's awesome, and your ability to actually retain the IP. That's hard to do, so good work. And my one question, and I don't know if it would be as much of an issue for you just because you're working with businesses, but the government and like policies and regulatory, just because of potentially the safety aspects of having like the goggles on, things like that, if that actually is getting in your way.
Not even a consideration. There are bigger companies than us. They're going to get sued first. Facebook, HTC, Microsoft.
Yeah, I mean, so I think
to name a few. Every single major tech player in the world, from Alibaba to Amazon, from Facebook to Microsoft, every single player is investing billions in this tech. So they're deeper pockets to us to sue. So yeah, well, I'm not worried about it.
I'll just add to that I think it's kind of a hardware concern, more than software and the solutions. So you've got Oculus, HTC, Microsoft, Sony. They're all creating their own technology. They're funding studies to make sure that it's safe. Right now, if you start up an Oculus system, you'll get a warning that says children under 13 should not be using it. We dug into that. It's actually based on a study from the 1980s that Atari commissioned, and HTC in particular is actually funding new studies about how healthy it is to be in virtual reality for extended period of time. Samsung is just
even though our parents told us not to stand too close to the TV, now we strap a TV to our head. It seems ridiculous, but no, the reality is the 13 years old was actually part of that study, but also it's Facebook's cutoff for being on Facebook. So that was the number they picked.
And any concerns right now about blue light just irritating people's eyes? That's an active concern for the hardware developers to continue improving on that with every new generation.
All right. Thanks, guys. Also, really, really great pitch. I was just curious because you mentioned that you're looking more at commercial and enterprise. As someone who works in marketing and communications for B2B commercial enterprises, how are you looking at cost? Because one of the things I do find, especially with B2B and commercial, where we aren't as consumer facing, which you said you're sort of leaning away from, our marketing budgets actually aren't as high because it isn't targeting a wider market. Do you find with the explosion into VR that the cost of creation and R&D is actually decreasing?
So I'll take that. I think that right now, VR it's not a mass platform. There aren't very many people who actually have the headsets. So you can create a piece of 360 video content. That's one of the pieces of content. If you spend some time in Facebook over the last 6 months, you might see in your news feed these 360 photos where you can actually look around the whole scene, 360 videos. That's the mass play right now, and most people are looking at that on their mobile screens as opposed to in a headset.
To answer your question directly, B2B is the play right now. B2C is going to take some time. It's going to take 5 years. The only market right now, in my opinion, and I'm probably not wrong on this, is the only market is B2B right now. Using this for your sales reps. Imagine equipping thousands of sales reps selling an industrial tool where you go to your client, you throw it on their head, and now their industrial tools in three-dimensional space. They can learn about it. They can learn how to use it. That is astronomical growth.
Quick comment or thought and then a question. Have you heard of Fireside Conference? Fireside Conference. That would be interesting. I'll talk to you guys about it afterwards. So the question I have is with 5 people on your team who are sounds like full-time-ish, and you've got a huge outsourced population, how are you protecting your IP?
We have a really good lawyer.
I figure, is it as simple as NDA, or is it something more?
So it's more than that. So when we sign contracts with our clients, we send them our clients, our contracts rather than that. Even though, like Samsung, for example, sent us their contract, we mark the shit out of it and send it back to them. It's just, we have a really good lawyer. She used to run legal for Virgin Canada, and she's a shark.
Okay. Thanks. One question? Anybody got a question?
Bueller.
All right, perfect. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Rover.
Sorry, I'm just
Okay, how's everybody doing? Good, good. Move. Come on. All right. Fourth pitch. Here we go. I'm going to be quick. I'm going to talk to you about parking. I understand that sounds kind of boring, but essentially what I'm doing at Rover Parking is creating the biggest infrastructure of peer-to-peer parking in Toronto right now, and our plan is to go globally. So what is peer-to-peer parking? Anybody want to take a guess at the easiest way to explain what peer-to-peer parking is? Pretty much. Generally, I say Airbnb for parking, and the pitch is essentially over after that. People get it. But it's actually a lot more than that. You know, what we're really trying to do at Rover is create a better way for everyone to move around cities. You know, with car sharing, with ride sharing, with the way transit is changing, you know, everyone is starting to look at cities in a different way and getting around cities in a different way, and that's sort of what Rover is concentrating on. In the city of Toronto, there's more than 11, sorry, in Canada, there's more than 11 people that actually drive a car to work. Over 30% of traffic congestion comes from people circling the block, actually looking for a parking spot. And there's over $1 million a day spent in Toronto on parking. So, I mean, I'll ask you guys, how many people have got a parking ticket before in this room? I mean, most people have, right? How many people, when they're driving and looking for parking, have seen an empty driveway or an empty business spot sitting there, but obviously know that they can't park there? Or are the people in the room we call bandits who actually just wind up going park there anyway, which is actually quite a few people. What we're really concentrating on is trying to get that supply available for everyone out there. What I'd like to ask everyone to do right now, if you're willing, is take out your cell phone. Perfect. Open App Store or Google Play and download Rover Parking. That would be fantastic. Please do it. If you do it, I'm actually saying this in all seriousness, if you do it, there will be $20 in free parking for everybody in this room to test Rover out. We are prevalent in Toronto for the most part, but you'll find some great spots all around the city. The parking industry is a massive industry. It's an $800 million industry in Canada. It's a $30 billion industry in the US, and it's a $100 billion industry globally. So we're really trying to tackle a massive industry here. We know we aren't going to be your one-stop shop for parking. What we are going to be is that additional standpoint to parking. If you don't want to pay $40 to park to go to a Leafs game, you can pay $10 paying on Rover. So there's times when this works and times when it doesn't. How it works is very simple. I'm sure no one has downloaded the app quite yet, but if you did, there's two things you can do. You can find a spot or you can pay for a spot. The booking process is super simple. You find a pin on the map, you choose how long you want to park for, you have your credit card information in there, and you're actually able to pay. Obviously, you're able to extend right from your phone as well. From the sharing standpoint, you could actually list your spot in less than a minute. And anybody here who lists their spot today, I'll give $40 in parking credit. So as you can see, obviously the hardest thing, and there's a couple marketplaces that have presented today, the hardest part of a marketplace is growing both sides of the equation. It was talked about earlier, you need supply and you need demand, and you need to balance them in tandem. And that's really what we're trying to do in Toronto right now. Some of the trends that have been spoken about today and that are interesting to note with regard to Rover are the sharing economy, smart cities, IoT, urban mobility, and automotive, which is investing heavily into different connected car activities. So the sharing economy, this actual stat was already mentioned today, where PwC said that the sharing economy is $15 billion today and will be a $335 billion industry by 2025. The secondary part is really the connected car. Talking about groceries earlier, we could actually have the groceries delivered into an actual car. If you get a new Ford or a new GM now, you're able to unlock your car from your phone. You are able to give access to people for a period of time to unlock your car. If anyone's heard of Turo, has anyone in this room heard of Turo? a couple. So Turo is Airbnb for your own car. So you rent out your own car to people to make a little bit extra money to subsidize the cost of the car. All this technology is in place, and all of it's really going to wind up changing. Electric is really the next thing happening in car. You're going to see a lot more electric cars on the road. What Rover's really able to do is create an infrastructure for the electric car without having to pay for the cost of putting it in there. So picture a driveway or a business spot that could have a plug for your electric car as opposed to having to build that infrastructure. Now, as I mentioned, the psychology of parking is really changing, and one of the things that Rover is really concentrating on is what we're calling radius parking, and people already do it. It's the people who commute into the city and will drive to the TTC and take that in, or will drive a 10-minute walk to work, or will drive and bike into work. What we're really promoting is creating these spots that will be found around bike shares, around transit systems, coupled with Uber Pool, and a different way to get your final destination. It's now more efficient to take multimodal transportation to get to your final destination than to actually drive right to your final destination. Anybody who drives into work here, I'm sure can attest to getting on and off the Gardner in the morning and evenings and how long it takes to get in and out of the city. We're very community focused, so one of the things that we can really do is help to turn parking lots into parks, or help take street parking off the street and turn it into bike lanes. We're talking with the City of Toronto with some pilots right now, and have been talking with Metrolinx as well about this exact thing. It costs over $60,000 to build one single new parking spot in an urban city. So imagine creating a whole parking lot. We're actually able to not subsidize, we're actually able to help with that supply. Rover launched in beta in July 2015, just on iOS. We're now on iOS and Android. Since then, we've had quite a bit of success in different startup programs, but also in traction with our business. We were named one of 3 most promising startups by the Globe and Mail. We were a finalist in TieQuest and BNN Disruptors, and I've also been featured in the App Store 2 times. We've been growing at about 30% month over month for the past year, and are really concentrating on Toronto right now and growing in Montreal and Vancouver and then into the US. We've raised $400,000 to date, and come fall winter of this year, we're going to be looking to raise $3 million from a mix of angel and venture capital. So that's Rover. Thanks, guys.
I'm not sure if this is on. Okay, good, perfect. So what we're doing is, just because of the timing that we have, we'll let you guys ask one question each, and then we're gonna, not question, just ask. You can't even answer. Just boom, 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 and then we're gonna let it go.
So I can sit down then.
Some comments.
Perfect.
So great idea. I have one question regarding the actual ownership of the spot. So how do you verify that the person who's listed actually owns it? Because I know that's sometimes an issue with Airbnbs. Like sometimes a renter and then the actual owner doesn't know that their place is being rented.
I'll answer in 4 seconds. We cross-reference banking information and the address with banking information with the address, which then gets rid of about 85% of that. And then after that, we actually call and work with the owners. Yeah.
Awesome. So I also have a question. So Airbnb has been doing a bit more effort because of all the safety issues. Parking can also be very much the same way, especially for me as a young single woman. I'm parking late at night. How do you deal with safety and security?
For sure. I mean, we are very much in the description of the spot. You know what you're getting into. It's just like parking in a parking lot. You know, if you're going to go park in a parking lot that doesn't have any lights, you run into issues. Like, we put that on our site, so if there's 24/7 access, if there is surveillance, if there is lighting, etc., it shows that spot. So you park in the ones that work for you. Yeah, it's a great question though. Trust is everything.
So my question is around the $3 million. What would it go towards? The majority of it?
Marketing for the most part. The product is built. It's now, we've built a playbook on how we can launch city by city and have an idea of how much it'll cost per city. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So I think just because of timing, we're going to have to skip the last questions, but I'm going to turn it over to Andres.
Yeah.
So yeah, at the end, thank you very much for your time and for the comments and the feedbacks and the questions we got today. I want to thank you, Chris, and our team from Office Services for putting that all up together. I also want to thank the startups. We have a little kind of put a package together, kind of a little bursary and some stuff we can give to you. And if you like, stick around afterwards and talk to me, because we would like to offer you also to sit down together with you and run you through some topics we're good in, like be it insurance-related stuff, be it risk management, be it IT security. So if you're interested, just come and ask me, and we'll set up a meeting afterwards. So yeah, at the end of the day, thank you everybody for spending time with us. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got some inspiration from how I think really great ideas we saw today. Yeah, and thank you very much. I think we have some beer left, so feel free. Thank you.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you very much, guys. Thanks to judges. You guys are awesome. We're advisors. And thank everybody for coming. Have a great day.